A duplex, I believe, is the only way you should go right now. It is going to be tough for you to be able to cash flow a single family residence without putting down a crazy down payment. Going back to what I was saying about we have to change our thought process. Quit thinking about it as real estate as a status symbol. Think about it as a ladder to climb up to financial freedom. And so I'm saying all that to say is the only type of property I would buy right now in this current environment right now is a duplex. Today I want to talk a little bit about the only way I would get into real estate at this point. I wanted to jump into this topic today because I wanted to take a step further and really give some insight on how I feel about the current real estate market and what I would do if I was a young entrepreneur, or not even a young entrepreneur. I would say a first-time entrepreneur in the current market. The reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I wanted to talk about what I feel is the number one best way to get into real estate if you are in the market to purchase a house. And I want to take you guys back a little bit, give you guys a little bit of my history and talk about like some of the mistakes that I made, basically coming up, trying to get into the real estate game. And I think the first thing you really got to do is you really have to change your mindset and how you think about real estate, right? You can't think about real estate as a luxury business. See, a lot of folks start mixing up real estate with this luxury business because, you got all these guys on TV, all of these influencers and stuff. They're talking about they sell real estate, they do wholesaling, they do this, they do that. And they're showing this glamorous life, right? They're driving these nice cars. They're doing all this stuff, that, people that have money, that wealthy people do. And I'm not knocking none of that. All of that is really good. But the bottom line is real estate business is grimy. It is grimy. You have to deal with people. Anytime you're in a business where you're dealing with people, it's going to be tough sometimes. And real estate is the ultimate relationship you're going to have with people is in real estate. If it's a property that you're not living in, that you're renting to somebody else, you are really connected to that person in a very personal way. And because of that, there could be some challenges, right? So I just want to kind of put that out there. And when I was younger, I didn't think about real estate as a way to, get to financial freedom. And a lot of folks in our community don't. We don't think about it like that, right? We think about it from more of an asset, something that, makes us feel good about where our position is in life, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, right? Renting, the mindset of a renter is like you're kind of just renting, you're kind of just throwing money out of the window. And the mindset of a owner is, hey, this is mine. This is something that I own. I'm not throwing away my money. And there's some truth to that, but there's definitely downsides and upsides to both sides of the equation. But when I first went out and bought my first piece of property over 20 years ago, I bought it for all the wrong reasons. I bought a very big house that was more than the size I needed for my family at the time. And I bought it because of status. Like I really wanted to really look a certain way, right? It wasn't about the things that it should have been about. It should have been about, me going toward financial freedom and being on my path. But I bought it as a symbol of status. And that made me make a bad decision early on. I bought a $250,000 house, maybe $280,000, I believe it was, over 20 years ago. And it was like a 4 or 5 bedroom house. And it was just me and my wife and my daughter at the time. And so why would I buy a house that big at, 23, 24 years old? I didn't need a house that big, right? But that's what I went out and bought because I wanted to look a certain way. And we have to get out of that mindset of using real estate in that way, right? We need to use real estate as a tool to get ahead. So when you start thinking about purchasing a property, don't just think about where you are today. Think about where you want to be going in the future, right? Are you going to be buying in an area where property values are going to continue to go up? You could do research. You could look at those trends and see, are property values rising in that area? Don't just go buy something because it's cheap, right? Look at the future, look at the projections, look at the different things that the city has planned for that area and say, hey, is this somewhere I should be investing in, right? And am I going to continue to see my investment grow? Because the bottom line is, all real estate doesn't grow in value. There are places where you can buy and your values can go down for certain reasons. And, you know, it may go up over time, but it may take a long time for that property to go up. You know, there's places, one place, for example, is, if anybody knows Greenville, South Carolina, White Horse Road. If you know White Horse Road, it's an area that's turning, but it's been turning very, very slow. So yes, you could buy a property on White Horse Road, which is right next to downtown Greenville, and that property probably will go up in the future, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And it's okay if you're at that point in your career, in your real estate strategy, where you can buy a property and hold it for some time, right? But if you're not at that place and you're looking to get some returns early, that's not an area you would really want to invest in, right? So you have to understand where you are in your investment journey before you make certain decisions on properties. That's one thing. So going back to what I was saying about, we have to change our thought process. Quit thinking about it as real estate as a status symbol. Think about it as a ladder to climb up to financial freedom. And so I'm saying all that to say is, the only type of property I would buy right now in this current environment right now is a duplex, period. A duplex or a fourplex, somewhere where somebody else can help me pay my bills. That's it. I would not buy a single family residence in this environment. The reason why is, with the current interest rates, it is going to be tough for you to be able to cash flow a single family residence without putting down a crazy down payment. And most young investors aren't going to be able to have that money to put down that type of down payment. Most investors want to try to get in with a 3.5% rate, which is a 3.5% down payment, which is FHA loan, or 5%, which is a conventional loan, or the 100% financing you can get with USDA. So those are the type of properties that you should be buying, and you can buy duplexes, triplexes, and even fourplexes with those type loans. So now you're coming out of pocket with a smaller amount, which allows you to have more money in your pocket, just in case something goes south with the investment. So don't put yourself in a situation where you've exhausted all your refunds just to get acquisition to a property and you don't have any reserves for a rainy day. So I just wanted to hop back on here and kind of put that out there. In this environment, the only property I believe that folks should be buying right now is a duplex or some type of multifamily property. Tell me what you guys think in the comments about that approach and that standpoint. If you're going to be buying a property, a duplex, I believe, is the only way you should go right now. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. If you like content like this, please give me a subscribe and give me a follow. And then also drop your comments. Tell me how you feel about what I just said today. And keep running those plays. Peace.